2 out.
Yes, I have actually a couple books. My newest book is called Fanatics, 50 Years of Jaws, but I also have a book on the making of Jaws 2 out.
Okay. And okay, let's go back, Michael. Tell us a little about yourself, and are you a little like all of us, a little obsessed with that? And why decide? Tell us about how you started. What encouraged you to write a book?
Well, when I turned 15, my dad asked me what I wanted to do, and I said, I've seen this movie advertised. I'd like to go to the theater. He dropped me off. I went down to the box office, and I tried to buy a ticket for Dog Day Afternoon. The girl in the box office told me I was too young, and then she asked me if I had seen Jaws yet. I hadn't. After I did, I've yet to repeat that moment. That film affected me like no movie has since. I wrote fan letters. I ran a couple fan clubs, and eventually, my love for the film and the history, it just kind of evolved into, some interesting stories there. I think I'll tell them.
I love that. And we were just talking about before we went on the air what an impact Jaws made on so many. I even had trouble, like, just getting in swimming pools. I think a lot of us had different. We looked at things. We looked at the water. There was nothing like that out. I mean, nobody had any idea. It was just such a oddity, something that just changed history for sure.
Oh, most definitely. It was really the first summer blockbuster. It was really the first film to open everywhere on the same day. A lot of films opened in New York or Los Angeles, and they kind of by word of mouth, as they got popular, they would go to other cities. It really changed Hollywood.
Michael, my dad had T-shirts made, and of course, here at a radio station, and it had Jaws on it. It said, "Who's for lunch? Tune in on Swap Shop." We have a swap shop. So anyway, so that's the impact it had on everybody. But let's talk about, so what are some of the things, I guess, in your books, there's so many ways to play it, I guess, when you go to write a book. What direction did you go in, and what led you that way?
I went in through there are so many stories and so many documentaries, especially on Jaws, the making of. There are so many stories that have been told. There's really not a lot new to share that the public knows. So I approached it by talking to the cast and crew of the films and getting their anecdotes. How did they get cast? What happened while you were there? The original director of Jaws 2 was fired 1 month into production because the studio wasn't pleased with the footage he was delivering. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stories that people hadn't heard, and I think that's what made it interesting. That's what people have said to me that have read the books, that they appreciate. Okay, we didn't know this, or we didn't know that, or that's why this is happening.
Right. Sorry, Michael. We had a for some reason our connection. Okay, I'm back. All right. Well, and I think that that bringing it from book, because we know that a lot of times the books go a little bit more deeper and maybe a little explaining things a little bit more. And I guess, is there something that I feel like that maybe needed to be explained in the book that was not in the movie? I guess, was there something like that you looked at too?
Well, it just in the Jaws 2 book, I really think Jaws 2 is a well-made film. It takes a lot of slack because it's not Jaws. If it didn't have Jaws in the title, I think people would regard it higher. And the story behind it was something that people have to understand. It was something that hadn't been done. I mean, when the new director was hired, he had less than a month to get on board, get everything done, and then shoot the film. And he was under amazing pressure because he was making the sequel to the most popular film ever made at that time. So there was a lot of stress in the writing and the performing. And, Roy Scheider didn't want to be there. He was there because he was under contract. So there was a lot of behind-the-scenes turmoil that that, and to everybody's credit, you don't realize because everybody did such a good job.
Yeah. Yeah. And this was kind of a lower budget. We talked with Joe and talking about he was just actually on the island or he was an islander and they just got the different kids to play a part. And I think he said he got $40 a day, you know. Boy, have things changed, right?
Oh yeah.
And for us sitting in the theater, who would have known that, right? I mean, nobody would have known that it was that because, like you said, it all came together just, perfectly. So when you go and you're currently updating the book again, why are you updating and what are you updating about it? And was it like, I guess like an artist, is it never 100% perfect? Is that?
Well, the book I updated was Edith Blake's book, The Making of the Movie Jaws, which she put out in 1975. And since then, so much has happened. So I kind of look back, and this is what has happened. This is how the film has affected Hollywood. This is what happened to a lot of the local people that were cast in the film. Jeffrey Kramer, who played Deputy Hendricks, he was an Islander. A lot of the smaller parts were locals, and Steven Spielberg wanted that local feel. You could cast somebody, from Boston. If you're up in Martha's Vineyard, you could cast a Boston actor or a New York actor to play so and so, but they don't have the look, they don't have the sound, they don't have the natural vocabulary that somebody that's from that island and lives on that island would understand.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And they said the funny things, they said like the water was actually shallow, that some of them had to actually on their knees so that it would look deeper. They had to.
Yes. That was one of the reasons they filmed on Martha's Vineyard was because of the shallowness of the water, because for the shark, because the shark was on a platform that sat on the bottom of the ocean. So the shallow water was necessary to be able to film it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So you've actually got a big weekend, and I think I'm going to be there. I might be there with you. So we're going to have to get caught up here, Michael. You're going to be appearing at this weekend's Shark Con.
Yes.
I'm excited about that. Aren't you?
Oh, very much. This is my fourth time here.
Okay. And what are some of the questions, I guess, the most asked questions you get?
Why is Jaws my favorite movie? And I don't have an answer. And it's funny, in my Fanatics book, I profile 50 fans from all over the world. And that's one of the questions that they're asked, and they all have a different answer. That I'm asked, are you ever afraid to go swimming? What's Richard Dreyfuss like? Those kind of questions. But I love them all. I love meeting the fans. I was just up at Martha's Vineyard a couple of weeks ago for the 50th anniversary celebration, and the best thing about it was meeting a lot of fans that I have corresponded with on my Facebook page, or have sent me emails, or have bought the book and sent me a kind message. So it was nice to be face to face and meet some of the people that you've known for a couple of years but never been in the same room with.
Right. And you do actually, don't you do didn't you do a fun poll, which I think I didn't get it to you quick enough, but I would like to have done that poll sometime of questions of how well we know about Jaws.
Yes.
And which I want to say, I think I could ace that. I think that's a test that I could pass because I'm kind of like you, Michael. I'm a little obsessed with it. Yes. And why, I don't know either. Just because it made such an impact, I think, on your life and change. I mean, all you have to hear is Donna, and you already know. I mean, it's like when Darth Vader walks in the room, you already know those, you just hear a few notes of those songs and that's, the theme, and you know what's getting ready to happen.
Oh, yes.
Also, Michael, on this, I got a question. Why do you think they didn't take Hooper's boat out instead of, why did they take the Orca is it because the Orca was so much bigger, that boat, or because the other one had the bells and the whistles on it?
I think because, first off, you wouldn't have needed Quint if you took Hooper's book out.
Well, I didn't know if he just would have gone along for still be the captain or whatever. He had to have that. But I just wondered why they didn't take his boat.
I think because Quint wouldn't allow it.
Okay,
you
probably.
remember the part where they're putting the stuff on the, putting the cage and stuff on the boat, and
Right.
Quint's very independent, and he doesn't like being told what to do. And there's a part where when they first encounter the shark, and Chief Brody goes to call the Coast Guard, he smashes the radio.
Yes.
He wants to do it. It's man against shark.
Mm-hmm.
Then, of course, when the Indianapolis scene comes up where he recounts his horrific encounter during the war, then you kind of understand why Quint is the way he is.
Right. And that one part, whenever there's a life jacket and he looks at it, remember, because he said he'd never put a jacket back on.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Michael, there's so much good and so much fun. What a fun time to be reading this. How can we get the book, Michael?
You can order it on Bear Manor Media. That's my publisher. And if you would like a signed copy, you can go to richarddreyfuss.net.
Okay, awesome. Okay. And which would make actually a great gift for someone, or just a gift for yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Michael, you're awesome, and I appreciate that. And we can't get enough of Jaws, and I love that you actually dive in. No pun intended.
There you go.
Dive in and with your books and everything that you do, and I appreciate that. I love talking this talk, and I appreciate you being with us this morning.
Oh, happy to do it. Thank you.
For the 50th anniversary, and definitely get the books today, and keep doing what you're doing, Michael. Keep us in the know, okay?
Hope to see you this weekend.
I can't wait. All right, have a great day, Michael.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was Michael Smith, and he is the author of the book Jaws 2, The Making of Hollywood Sequel, and also The Daily Jaws, and called Fanatics. So there we go. 50 years of Jaws. That's crazy.
And tell us now. You said SharkCon.
Yeah.
This week.
Yeah. SharkCon. Yeah. It's actually in Tampa, Florida.
It's in Tampa.
SharkCon. Get your shark on, right?
SharkCon.
Yeah.
SharkCon.
I think because Mayor, do you feel like, since we live in a double landlocked state, here in Indiana, we don't. I don't think on let's go to Lake Salenda, John Hay, that we hear shark, right?
No, I have not had that phone call.
No, I think that's something that, but you go back and, because I, have been watching it a lot lately, and I'm kind of one of those, when it's on, I have to stop and watch it a little bit. But, you go back to the mayor's position in that.
Okay.
And what a crazy position he is. If you watch, it's funny to watch Hollywood, with the different roles that cities and communities have. And so, like, the mayor, you see his part, because this is like the biggest tour attraction of the season,
Sure.
To open the beaches.
So the people are coming.
The people are coming. And, as a mayor, you want nothing more for your community to be beautiful, for people to come in and be a part and have that beautiful experience.
Year in and year out.
Yes, exactly. And, and it's a travel time, and it's also good for the locals, because your restaurants, your hotels, everybody's going to spend money, which is beautiful, as a mayor. But then you have this problem.
Right.
So torn between two, there,
Yes.
I guess,
Yes.
a lot going on. And so if you watch the mayor scene, the mayor's like, we have to open these beaches. And but you have the you learn about government watching Jaws.
There you go. It's got to happen.
Exactly. But anyway,
Yeah.
so it's very interesting on that. But it's a good time. So it's definitely a fun time, I guess, to watch the movies, to read the books, and to be a part,
Yeah.
and the
50
impact that it
years.
had. Yeah, I know. And the impact that it had,
Yeah.
watching it, and just, and as a child, and I really don't think was anything like it. We really didn't know much and think much about sharks.
Right.
It opened up a whole new
Well, now wait a minute. It did lead to Shark Week.
Well, absolutely. Which, which will be later this month.
Okay, right.
Yes. And that is a week I love, what I
Yeah.
mean? Yes. And I'm a little bit obsessed with that too,
Right.
which is a fun time. And then don't even forget, then a spin-off Sharknado. when
Oh,
sharks are,
my.
I mean, now
Yeah,
that would.
okay. I did forget. You're right. I did.
How could we forget Sharknado?
Yeah.
I don't think that would be anything again. I think these are things that, this would be funny. Things that an Indiana mayor does not have to deal with.
Oh, true. Very much. Yeah.
These are things that
Yeah.
will not come across your desk.
Yeah.
I don't think,
No. Not yet. Now there was something, and I can't tell you where I read it. There was something about the sharks being found in freshwater canals, and
I
as if
know.
they're changing their habitat and then adapting. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, well, here we go.
Here
So science fiction, Jaws 3, here we go.
Yeah, but yes, and then like they're talking about like alligators in the ocean now.
Yeah.
Where they're adapting. Well, I guess wherever like you kind of where they two that kind of come together, and then they
Right.
overpass each other. So they were looking real quick. I'm going off now. You've got me going on this. This was one of the Shark Weeks. They were taking a shark and an alligator, and for some reason, when a shark smells an alligator, it's a repellent. So they were talking about like maybe for scuba divers having like a repellent of a alligator smell
Okay.
that would keep sharks away.
Interesting.
Yeah. Would you actually get like in a cage if there was sharks? Would you go down in the water?
I wouldn't say no, but I need some practice. It would be cool, certainly.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my,
yeah.
that'd be once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I'd want to do it on my first dive.
Yeah, right. I would be okay if the sharks were smaller.
Okay.
I don't want anything like going to be hitting my cage.
Okay. You want the young sharks.
Yes.
The not so adult, not so grown, not so
Yes,
violent.
not so hungry.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'd like for them to be well fed before I go down.
Well fed, well mannered.
Yeah.
Okay.
If there's
there's probably different packages. That's the package you want to buy.
Yeah. And I kind of and I want to go a little further. I want to be a mermaid. I want to be a mermaid.
Well,
that would be a whole nother thing, right?
True.
Yeah, there you go. Right.
Yeah.
I have some requests before I go down to that. No, I would be okay. I had a shark encounter a few years ago in Florida.
Right.
Yeah, and so I'm not gonna make it. I will not make it that painful to go into that story. But I did have a shark encounter, and so I feel like I have become kind of one with sharks from time to time.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm a shark whisperer, but I feel like that. So, all right. So we're going to take it now to the streets. Let's get back to the land. And that's going to be exciting. Look out for those books, and you can purchase those books. Great reads, great fun. All right. Mayor, let's talk about what's going on here. We got some construction going on here in the city of Salem.
Sure.
And we've learned before, and everything that we've done has been so nice after it's been done. So again, we always say, trust the process, but onward ho. What do we got going on?
There it is. Well, gosh, yes. And so to your point, we finished up a phase one, aptly named phase one project, where north of the square, the section from the stoplight at Highway 56 to the square was our phase one federal highway project that NDOT implements that Salem was very successful in getting. And that's a curb, gutter, sidewalk, storm sewer improvement. So it's kind of a combination thereof. And in doing that, certainly as a utility owner, we have to think long-term. If we're going to have this massive investment in an infrastructure project on top of the ground, does it not make sense? Should we not be good stewards and protect and look at everything under the ground?
Yes.
And that takes time. Becky, you know that, and goodness, it takes money, and it takes a process of engineering, finding out what's under there, where it needs to go, how it changes the flow by chance, and what makes sense moving forward for long-term infrastructure. Because let's face it, we don't want to band-aid anything. We want to do it in a sense. It's a good long-term fix.
Right.
The value of money. We need to take advantage of what we can today, because gosh, if we wait 5-10 years, what could it be, and what would it be in a worse condition left unattended. So that's what happened in that section. New water line, which is a major trunk. We changed some sanitary sewer directions and some manhole replacements and locations. And so, to your point, then when we broomed up and got everything opened, the new greenscape, the street lights, the curb and gutter, it all came together.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And so that segment really turned out nice, and what a welcoming approach to the downtown square.
Yeah, yeah.
So conceptually, we can't stop. We shouldn't stop. And again, very successful in our applications and making that case. And so phase 2, we were awarded as well. And that's what you're seeing today in preps for.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a similar segment, if you will, leaving the downtown square, the south gate, down to the Blue River Bridge. Mm-hmm. And so that is same thing. We are installing the trunk line for the water that will continue in that south direction. And those get new services to all the businesses. So upgrading all that as we go. Of course, that section, as I just said, has the waterway. Yeah. And so that is an interesting part of that piece, that segment, is that, you can't put water lines on top of the ground. And so that has to be bored under the bed of the creek, the riverbed.
Oh, wow.
And so, which the prior line was. This one is even deeper. And so that was an interesting project, getting that bored under there. It's an amazing feat with technology, but certainly that's what progress is about. And you want a good casing. And so they bored under there with a larger diameter to put the casing in, and then they send the actual tubing, the pipe, then after. So it's a dual process, if you will. And so that's under there and has been pressure fitted and tested, and everything's good. And so now we are in preps for moving the services to each individual business and getting those side trenches cut and those new water services to put to those businesses. So I think there's 12 of them, maybe 13. So that's what that particular crew is doing. But to your point, boy, there's like a small army on South Main Street right now. Yeah. And that's a good thing. Gosh, it looks daunting. It looks like we've got 10 things going at once, and I guess kind of we are. Yeah. So in preparation for the federal highway work, the actual streetscape, that requires all the utilities to clean up and move and adjust their locations. So the Duke subcontractor has been working diligently, getting their poles relocated and put back within their easement. And so there's a lot of utility work going on while the construction crew is doing their thing. Sure. And so, again, cleaning up some of the lines. There's some redundancy, do away with some of that, maybe run a line in a more direct approach instead of, zigzagged. So they're doing some of that. And that's, of course, that's Duke's work, and that's their subcontractor, and they're nearly done. They're on the downhill side of that. And so the others, your telecommunication companies, they'll have to come in next. There's a little bit with Frontier. There's a little bit with Spectrum, and so on and so forth. So that's kind of minor compared to what Duke had to do. So you're seeing that take place. And then once all the telecoms are done and everything is done on our end as far as the water line and any wastewater that we want to address, as far as a couple of manholes and a couple of services, then the actual road construction can start. Okay. So it's kind of, well, you look at it, you think it's going on now, but no, really, it's all prep. Yeah. This is all prep. Goodness, it's a very busy section of road because there's so much in that road. Sure. As we have a lot of business area. We've got a lot of side streets, and hey, it's aptly named Main Street. Yeah. So kind of tells the story. Kind of still tells the story. So as we proceed, that will be some ongoing work for the next few months. But there's two other projects simultaneously. Like I said, a lot going on. Our Community Crossing Matching Grant, CCMG. So proud of Salem and our efforts. We keep getting the award, and we apply, and NDOT likes our projects. And so from Main Street to Water Street on Poplar Street, 1 block off from the square, that is a CCM project. So it has really nothing, quite frankly, in the sense of the scope of work and bids and how they were. It's just coincidental that they're happening at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that is a curb and gutter, sidewalk and asphalt project too, but that's strictly a state award. And so that section has been plagued for a long time with some storm sewer issues. So the gutters are not collecting right. The inlets are not getting the rainwater where it should and off of Poplar Street. And so that storm sewer needs a lot of attention. And so that was a big project there. Again, thanks to our CCMG award. Once that project gets the utilities figured out, then it'll start the road bed. That one again had some help from Duke. We had some boring to do, some tunneling, if you will, to get the services back where they need to be, cleaning that up. But again, that's an older section. That mm-hmm. section of Poplar Street just has not had any attention. Right. And so it is a good project, a much smaller scale project, but it's right there, hugging Main Street.
Sure.
So anyways, that is progressing. And then our partners, and I do mean that, our partners at the county, they are working on the bridge on South Main Street. And a lot of people don't realize that, and naturally you wouldn't, but in Indiana, unless it's a state highway, the state would own the bridge, but otherwise your counties own the bridge systems. And so that's their property, and they're making some improvements and addressing what an age structure needs. Mm-hmm. So good. I'm tickled that they're doing it. It's great. Everything needs updated. The bridge is no different. It's certainly a good bridge, and we want to maintain it.
Sure.
And that's part of it. And so they've got a separate project there, albeit right in the middle of some of ours. So when you're driving through, and as the joke goes, the orange barrels are the season flower.
Yes.
Yeah, and we've got several flowers down South Main Street.
Right. Well, I think though, I think it's well, first of all, I just want to say and point out, I'm impressed. I mean, everything that's going on. I mean, you have learned probably more since you took the oath of office. You have learned more about water systems and lines and I mean, and all of those from everything you just said, all those, which I can't even remember them all, the different lines and all of the construction things. You've probably learned more than you ever knew in your life, right?
That is true. Yeah. And thank you for saying that. I mean, that is right. There is so many.
Well, that means you're on the pulse of it.
Well, thank you. And that's right. And it's, so encompassing.
Yeah.
There's many moving parts. And a lot of them we don't see. We don't, even overhead, we don't realize what we're looking at some days. And the fact that, we're in such a technical world, it's not just a Duke pole carrying electricity. There's a lot of things going on. And with the fiber installation, that's another layer of utility. And you got to think, okay, in a right of way, where are all these utilities going?
Right.
They all have to marry up some way to keep those services delivered.
Yeah.
And it becomes a very interesting puzzle. And then you also have to think about long term. What are our demands today, but what are our demands 10, 15, 20 years from now? Right. And then are we making that right upfit?
Sure.
And that's all part of it.
Well, I think the things that and I'm kind of going back further on that too, that as mayor, when I just want really quick, because I'm very impressed with what you were how it all, instead of saying, well, I'll have an engineer call in, Becky, or let me bring my engineer in and he can explain it. Instead, you just explained it to us, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate you staying in the know, and I know you do, but I really highlight that because I think that speaks volumes. But I think anybody realizes any kind of a project, you have to go deep, and you're going deep. You're not just not making it pretty and and you could do that and go on and be fine. And then let's say maybe how many ever years, you're taking a chance, because a lot of these lines are old.
They are.
So you're taking a chance of, whenever they're going to have to be, trouble. If there was trouble, then you'd have to dig into the pretty whatever pavement or whatever you had there.
Yeah.
And that would be horrible. So you're doing it right. You're going, I guess, like I think of like building a home, if the electrical part is so important, making sure that that all of those lines are done before you can put the drywall on and paint it and make it pretty, right?
You bet.
Yeah.
You
So
bet.
it's kind of similar to that.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than having to saw cut a road that's got fresh pavement on it.
Yes.
I mean, that is just gut wrenching, and you think,
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
and hey, there's always going to be a leak, and we have to, I guess, appreciate that it is a functioning utility, and there's going to have it's going to have issues.
Sure.
But if we can negate and prevent, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're right, we've got such an aged backbone. And we're talking, Becky, I've said with our listeners before, 70, 75-year-old water lines.
Yeah.
And,
Are they out of warranty?
Goodness, I can't find the toll-free number. Nobody answers, and I don't know why.
I don't know.
But to your point, and natural aging of anything,
sure.
it's the shelf life is there. Yeah. We've been very fortunate, but we have to keep fixing. And I say the word fix. I mean that in a proactive way.
Right.
Let's get as many things addressed as we can.
Well, and then probably the same materials that they used back then, they're not using these days. So you're talking totally different materials too.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot, and I think it's good to highlight and explain that, because a lot of times people don't. I mean, it makes sense. You just don't always think of it. We're just driving by and seeing it all, and then and also I don't think a lot of times people realize what's county owned, what's city owned,
Sure.
what's the state.
That's true
because
too.
Everybody's got got their own things to keep up with. And I'm glad you mentioned Duke, because Duke has been very kind to our community.
They have.
And the schools had some projects, and they've been very kind to the school system, I can say. And I really appreciate them. And I think that give them a shout out for being so kind and so understanding and good. They're a good partner.
They are.
They're really good to work with.
They are, and very timely.
Yeah.
And they understand our needs. And so you're right. I do appreciate them and helping out.
Yeah. And now we had some big rainfall. It's been a little while ago, but and a lot of flooding that went on, and the bridge there, not too far from Arby's.
Correct.
Boy, it was a solid. I mean, it did so good. Were you so proud of that? I was
and it's interesting to watch. You're right. So those bridges, they're all inspected. They have a routine that they pass, and that concrete structure is such that it's a workhorse, and it takes it does its job, and it being a low water structure, it does collect some debris from time to time, and certainly we help the county. We try to address the debris quick as we can, whatever collects under it, but. It's a trooper.
So that actually would have been owned by the county then, that bridge. Is that, or
no, are you referring to the one on Walnut or the one on the highway?
The highway.
I'm sorry. I thought you meant Walnut.
No, I'm sorry.
Pardon me. I misunderstood. So yes, the one there on the new bridge is state.
Yes.
And
I mean, it was so refreshing to see.
Oh gosh.
There were so many other waterways that was underwater.
I'm with you. Certainly.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry, wrong bridge.
That worked out. Yeah. That new open span there on that one.
Yeah, that's a pretty bridge.
That is. Yeah.
It's a pretty bridge, and it was doing really good, because there was really a lot. I felt for a lot of our community, because there were a lot of ways that people couldn't get home.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So. That was, and it came fast and it came hard,
It did. And in your accounts, I'm sure you had several
videos,
but it was 7 some inches in that northern quadrant up around Rinkers Creek area, that highland. And so, that portion north of Salem in the county, all that rain had, and as the gravitational flow goes, it has to come this way.
Yeah. And our personnel, from our fire department to our police department to our EMTs, everybody they were on high alert. They were like right on it. They were just really out and about doing,
Mhm.
and I really appreciate that too. And big shout out to them for what they do.
Oh, absolutely.
Also, um, we've got okay, so I feel like we're good on the water and all of the construction.
Yes,
Is there anything else
absolutely.
okay, is
So
there,
you're going to see, and they
okay,
have started. There's different areas of town in Salem.
okay,
We're doing a wastewater project. So
okay,
you've got sanitary sewers, which is your wastewater,
hmm,
and you got storm sewers, which is your rainwater.
hmm,
And so there are instances where we are trying to keep out rainwater from the sanitary sewer. They should be separate because in essence, the reality is we don't need to be treating clear water at the wastewater treatment plant.
okay, okay, okay,
And so I'll try to break that down. Rainwater goes to the river,
okay,
sewer needs to go to the wastewater treatment plant.
all
And
right,
so with our aged infrastructure again, so our brick lined, concrete ringed manholes, we are fighting, like a lot of utilities, the infiltration of clear water, groundwater, rainwater into the sewer that goes to the wastewater plant. And so that is a problem. A lot of utilities are saying, hey, we've got to quit doing this because of input cost. It takes more chemicals to treat water that doesn't need to be there. You end up fighting capacity.
that's what I wondered on that. Yeah,
And so it's an ongoing issue, again, under that heading of aged infrastructure. So that project is a relining of the priority issued manholes that are in need of repair. And so, again, I've shared with our listeners a handful of times, we've got over 900 manholes in Salem. That's
that's
mind boggling.
crazy. Yeah, it's
Yeah. So
crazy.
there's
Yeah,
over 900 manholes. And so they all have a job to do. And again, as they've aged, they've done their job, and they certainly have a purpose. That's why they're there. And so, again, a lot of them are brick lined, the mortar, and the way they line up. And so we are under contract with a company who's going to reline those. It is an approved epoxy grade type lining. And so it coats those, and some of the most severe ones will actually get some actual physical repair. But nonetheless, the goal is, let's get the clear water, which it's kind of the generic term. Let's get the clear water out of the sanitary sewer system, that we don't have to then have it treated at the wastewater plant.
that's really interesting. Now so like the manholes, will they be like are they kind of secured, or what am I trying to say? Is it were they so the water cannot get in them? Is that
Well, so
what do you call
because
it?
they're a tubular style
Okay,
system that goes in the ground. When you open a manhole lid, the steel lid, it is basically a tubular tunnel. So it's a shaft going down to the actual sewer pipe.
okay,
And so, because the proximity to all the rain and being on top of the ground, and as it soaks in, those mortar joints get weak, and it infiltrates the pipe, and so then it falls in, it runs in, sometimes like a garden hose or worse.
yeah.
So it's just gushing in, and it's funneling into the actual sewer system.
Oh
And
wow.
so yeah, that is again, because of age, that's the fix. And of course, we've got 900 now. We've prioritized the worst ones. We've certainly cambered them. We've got the evidence of this needs twice as much. This one doesn't need so much,
Yeah.
And so we're addressing those now. And so that contractor, and because the manholes sometimes are in the street, sometimes they're in the edge of the yard and the right of way, they'll be navigating those crews throughout the city.
Who knew all that was going on, like underneath, right? No, I mean, like
Yes.
really, that's a whole nother world down there.
Right.
That's
Right.
crazy.
Right.
So do you have to wait for it to rain so you can see everything going where it's not supposed to be going, or is that something your crew works?
Those heavy rain events help, but then also the groundwater. So even if it rains on a Monday, some of these are such a way and their severity. By Thursday or Friday, you can still pull a manhole lid and see the water coming in because the groundwater is still filtering.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. So like the big area that flooded so much, let's go out to the treatment plant. So it was like was overloaded probably.
Right. And so
So then would that make everything have to pump harder, faster,
in
stronger?
essence, it does, and it's designed in the way our plant works. We're on a lagoon system, so the plant itself treats and holds capacity. That's the daily job of the plant.
Mhm.
But then when we have excess and large demands, then we have the lagoon system, and so the lagoons then hold and store excess volume. And so the lagoons do their job as storage until the plant then can catch up and breathe.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
It is.
This almost sounds like some science projects.
Oh, it is. Gosh,
I mean,
it is completely a huge science project.
Yeah.
Certainly is.
Yeah, I'm hoping that everybody's hearing this because everything is like everything makes sense, and there's like methods to the madness, if you will, and it's just things that like we just don't. It's almost like out of mind, out of sight. You don't see it.
So true.
We drive over those manholes, and you think about that too, the wear and tear.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times does a tire hit those manholes
Correct.
or go over them,
Right.
or a semi or vehicles, and then of course that's going to take wear and tear on. Everything makes sense. It just sometimes has to be explained because those are things that like we're not experts on, but I think you have become an expert on. I mean, I'm very impressed at you. I mean, yeah, that's quite great detail. Attention to detail there.
Attention to detail. And again, these are long-term fixes. These applied fixes, applied updates, upgrades is probably a better word. These are long-term. And so as far as putting longevity into our sewer system, these are great. This is a great project to do.
Well, our future, I guess, like later on, they'll be thankful that this is all done.
Well, that's just
and done right.
It is.
Just like we, held for 70 something years.
There you go.
Yeah. Our forefathers,
Yes.
That was very good for them. Whatever they bought, they did the good stuff. They bought the good stuff.
Right. You bet. Absolutely. So true. Right.
So, I mean, so now we're, and you're supposed to leave everything bigger. You're supposed to leave everything better than you left it.
There you go.
Or when we found it. Sorry,
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Right.
Yeah. So
Correct.
that's got to make you happy as a mayor.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And then I love it whenever, like you said, like the state or somebody, helps out, with the grants and stuff and helps out with the money. That makes it affordable and makes it doable.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. There is no discount in the utilities as far as our inflationary world. I mean,
No.
they get hit too. And so just
Everything.
the cost of doing business,
Yeah.
the cost of operating, and so, yes, we need our partners and those opportunities to help us finance. They're big.
Well, and I just say, I'll go city, county, and state. If we didn't have help, we probably couldn't do a lot of things we're doing.
Right.
And that's a blessing for our community. And when we're looked at and whenever we do get money and they approve that, that's a huge blessing. That speaks volumes of how well, well we're liked, or how well they believe in what we're doing.
There out of the application process, you're right, Becky, that there can be a series of applications that can be overlooked or put in another pile or discounted because, are they serious about their investment?
Absolutely.
Are they serious about their longevity? Are they looking at generational growth?
Mm-hmm.
And those are all things that do come into play. And we've checked a lot of boxes, and we've been very fortunate. And I think that shows that Salem is really serious about, we want to make this right, and we're going to do it, and please help us.
Anybody that's wrote, a proposal or a grant or anything like that knows that, you have to explain, what your purpose is and what your intentions are and why you're doing it. And, and obviously, it's worked well in our favor, and they do believe in us. So, and they could be spending the money other places. So,
true enough.
So I appreciate that. Okay. Real quick. I want to talk Slinda going strong.
Sure. Yes.
Beautiful.
And that is, a work in progress, as that saying goes. There's a lot there that is still unfolding as those dollars open up. That is a slower project, not necessarily the speed I would like, but you know what? It is still progress. And it was intended to take this year. So I'm not disappointed. We're about where we needed to be. So yes, it is the bathhouse installation, as well as the campground sites that are being developed and shown, and very visual. If anybody goes out there, you can really see how it's starting to take shape. And so the bathhouse is nearly done. That's dual ends, so a men's and a women's, with the restrooms and shower facilities. I'm just really anxious to get that going, and be accessible to folks who do enjoy that camping, that
Yeah.
outdoor activity, and,
Sure.
and they need another place to visit, and it just fits in there very well. It's centrally located. It's almost midway through the property. And so it's taking shape very, very well. The campsites are the ongoing road cuts. And so we're finessing some angles and some culverts and some drives to make sure that makes sense. And they're a little ununiform by design. You know, it's a tight area out there. We don't have a lot of property that's surplus, and so they're not necessarily in sequential order and parallel. So it looks a little bit haphazard in the design, but no, they're actually that way, and I think it makes a visual compliment. You know, it's not so boring.
No, definitely.
It's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
So as those progress, yes, you're going to see that, and there's always some things we're thinking down the road. Lake Linda could become another spot to go to, but still, it's great now. Go fish, go kayak, have a picnic lunch. And again, it's just a minute or two outside of town, so it's not like you've got a 2-day trip.
No,
it's easy.
no, yeah.
Just head south and pull in the lake and find you a place to sit and watch the water. Yeah,
you actually step into like a whole nother, like area. You don't even realize that you just left town. Right. It's beautiful, and I'm so happy you're doing stuff. Look what you're doing. I love that, and I love the whole idea of it. And I think a lot of your campgrounds, I'm not a professional camper, but I think a lot of your campgrounds have kind of where they kind of put the more in, the more people you can get in. And I think campers are very happy about that.
Yeah,
because then that's cool. Then everybody can be a part.
Yeah.
And I love the idea. I think it's great, and I love that you're doing that. You come up with the idea and you're putting it wheels in motion, and you're shaker and mover, you're doing it. So that's great. Also, you got a lot on your plate.
It's been busy. Goodness.
Yeah, but I love this. Let's roll back. Right before school let out, you did a series with seniors, kind of getting to meet the mayor, which I love that so much, because I feel like, I can remember many years ago. I don't even know what age I was, but I was handed a tape recorder from my dad and said, go down and interview the mayor.
Oh, okay. Yes.
And to be honest, mayor, I didn't even know what the mayor did. You know what I mean? I mean, not
point,
to be
right.
No. And
exactly.
I remember being so nervous. Good for me. Yes. My dad was one of those throw you in the pool and you learn how to swim, which, but I think that's so valuable and so good information for that. And I love that you hosted that with the seniors. So then that was one of your series. And now we've got another series coming up, which is exciting.
Yes.
And I love this idea. And I love what you're doing and bringing and being very transparent and being a part. And it's actually going to be art on the bricks and for our local artists.
That's right. And going into this, I thought, what can we do as a rotation? How can we keep promoting the downtown? And that was my goal all along. And engaging the seniors was the first step. And the calendar, because at the end of May it made sense, or the month of May, not necessarily the end of May, but where it fell, and so there was our kickoff, and I certainly want to do that again next year. But moving forward for this calendar year, we're all got full plates and a lot going on, so there was about a 3-week hiatus and trying to figure out the temperature, and then gosh, we had the fair that was right in the middle of that calendar. So next. It was time to go ahead and promote the new event, and Art on the Bricks is what I'm doing. Just to your point, it's there on Market Street, there between the Square and High Street. We cordon off that section, and it's just a very convenient, very easy, welcoming place to do these type of events. And so we put out the feelers, and we've got to date 25 local artists who's going to set their booths up. showcase what they do, what they merchandise, their artistic abilities. And these are all locals. These are folks right here in our community. And so please, that's a rain or shine, but we're not even going to talk about the rain, Becky. Come on out.
Yeah.
It's July 18th, next Friday, not this Friday, but the following Friday, 6 to 9. This is a free event. There'll be plenty of things to do that evening. Our fire department, they're going to have fire burgers on site, and then the other businesses that are there on the square, please, patronize those as well while you're there. But be a cool event. I really think so.
I love it. And I think I love that we're not having starving artists. Thank goodness we have fire burgers.
Yeah. Right.
Thank goodness. Once again, the fire department saves us, right?
They're going to rescue us.
I know.
So,
those fire burgers, I want to put a stamp of approval on those real quick. I have to have a moment of those.
Yeah,
Come on,
Mayor.
Mayor.
They've got it down. They've got it down.
I'm telling you right now, those are just like,
Right.
those are like none other. Yeah. Fire burgers. But anyway, yeah. So I'm glad. I'm so happy that they're going to be there making their appearance. Love that. But I love now. So you've got like 25 artists, which we have so many great artists in our community.
Well, that's just it.
And
that's a wide ranging thing. Some of them may paint, some of them may do craft work.
Yeah.
We've had some wood interests, some wood carvers. So it's kind of the full gamut.
Yeah, it's completely love that. And I love to highlight that. And I think we, highlighting the arts and highlighting, the artists. Now you've got 25 different booths set up or different tables set up. So now we as a community now need to come and shop and see. This is the time to come support it. Now you've done the legwork as far as getting everybody, the artists all set up. Now we as a community need to come and be a part. I can't wait. And I can't wait to see. And this is what's fun. There might be somebody in the community that you didn't know had this great talent.
This ability.
Isn't that like exciting?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's something to do outside of the norm. And that's what, a lot of people ask, well, gosh, it'd be nice to have an event to do something with the family again, something we can do right here in town. We can walk. Well, this checks all these boxes. And it's just a great way of getting out on a Friday night and doing something here that, again, you don't have to spend any money.
Right.
Gosh, just come look.
Yeah.
But please,
But if you want to spend money and you want to buy, this would be a great time to buy like gifts for people. Those homemade gifts or something personal for yourself.
And I know you shop early for Christmas, so
I have to, Mayor. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think I won't be. Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's so I love trying, I'm a huge, I was raised that way. Try it, see if it sticks, see how it goes. And I love that you're stepping out. Let's try this. We got the lights now. Yeah. Let's talk about these lights, how beautiful they are. Well, and this was a huge vision you had.
It was. And I did, sometimes flattery is stealing somebody else, what they've got in their plans. And so some other mayors and communities had done some similar projects, and I chatted with them and I said, well, I'm going to steal your thunder and take some of this home with me. And of course they laughed and gave me a high five. So looking at that section again, carefully protecting our look, our historic feel of downtown. I didn't want anything that would be detrimental.
Right.
And so then the research was, well, what makes sense on a self-supporting structure? And then I looked at some options on these steel poles, and some of them did not work. Some other communities said, hey, be careful. This we tried and trial and error.
I love that.
And so got some good guidance there. And so we took our time in finding the right style that would carry the weight and would look right and fit in and not detract. I sincerely hope that's what the outcome is, because I like it. I think the poles look fine. So then we strung the lights. Our city electrician and our crews we went all about it, and they said, yeah, Mayor, that'll work. And so within 2 days, I give them a paper sketch. Do this. I want this diamond pattern. And they scratched their head and said, okay, we'll figure it out. And boom, they got it done.
They did.
And so it's well above the required height for motorists and clearance as far as roadway. And so we made sure we got that done. It's plenty high. And I think it fits really well in that corridor off the square.
I think it's absolutely gorgeous. And I was so happy. I know your goal was to have it done before the fair, and you were a man of your word. You got it done, which I think coming home, I kept waiting. I saw them putting it up, and I kept waiting, for you to turn it on. You took a couple of days before you got it on. And
it was a tease.
Yeah, I know. No. I kept, so then you don't know how many nights I kept. Okay, when are we gonna? So it was just 2 nights maybe, because I think I think they finished it like on a Wednesday or Thursday,
Right,
and you showcased it on Friday.
Yes.
And I waited, and so oh my goodness, worth the wait. You talk about anticipation, and it was worth it because I think it's absolutely stunning. I think it's beautiful, and I think it just adds, and I love that. I love taking from other communities and learning. And if we have something that someone else can learn from, that's great. And I love that networking with other mayors and bringing that to our community, and how perfect that is, And later on, of course, I know we'll have other series, throughout the summer of things you got going on. But even let's say, on another note, our Tri-Kappa, which is a huge fundraiser, our Beer on the Bricks, will be over the moon to use that. That's going to be gorgeous.
Yes.
And it's the lights on that brick. It just the contrast of the two, and then you put the courthouse there.
Yeah.
It's just it's just absolutely stunning. It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
So I'm over the moon. I think it's absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait for the 18th for the arts on the bricks. I think it's just going to be gorgeous, and I encourage anybody anybody else from out of town, if you're listening right now to us, please come over and visit us. And bring a pocket full of money, because we got some artists that
That's right.
might be starving for a fire burger.
Well,
so let's support them. And this is a great opportunity for us to showcase for our community. I hope other communities come over. That would be fun.
Yes, and again, build on this, because I would like to keep that in my series. It would be a reoccurring thing.
Yeah. I like this. I think it's fun, and I love the arts, and I love supporting our arts, and we know that. So it's going to be from 6 to 9 p.m. To actually come to the event. It's free.
Correct.
Free. And we got some cool music. We'll be having some fun music,
Yes.
some inspiring.
Little entertainment.
Yes, a little bit of entertainment. So we'll have some good music. We'll have the atmosphere will be beautiful, perfect. And then, of course, we know our artsy people in our community. Let's cheer them on, and let's support them.
Please.
I love this. So again, we'll keep reminding everybody it's on the 18th from 6 to 9 p.m. right here in Salem on the Brick Street, and you can't miss it. So fun time.
Great. Yes, It will be.
So we've got it all. You've done the legwork. You got it all set up. The base is set. Now we need the people to come.
You got it.
Fill it up. I hope it's like shoulder to shoulder.
Well, you know what? That would be a good thing.
Wouldn't it be a great thing?
Yes, it would. And we could have overflow. We'll do the.
I think you're used to overflow. Term overflow. I think we need to get T-shirts. Overflow.
Sorry. Right. Yeah.
That word is a lot for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
In your vocabulary.
Yeah.
No, we do have overflow. We do. We have areas of overflow. We can,
Correct.
We will accommodate you. I do believe it. So exciting. So, Mayor, thanks for coming and hanging out. I love it. I love getting this to everybody. Hopefully everybody's got a little more enlightened, and hopefully the knowledge that we've learned this morning, I hope that everybody takes, and please talk with other people, share that information about some of the construction that's going on, some of the great things that are going on, and definitely please share about the arts on the bricks. And Mayor, keep up the great work, and also get out and visit Lake Celinda, right?
You know it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for coming in. We want to thank Michael with the Jaws 50th anniversary. Get his books. Very good author. And want to thank our sponsors this morning: Meadowview Healthcare Center, Walmart, Salem Crossing, Americans for Prosperity, Mama Rosa's Restaurant, Fox for League Wealth Management, Dr. Mindy Gunn, Dr. Black's Eye Associates, Marshall Monuments, McAllister Land Consulting, First Harrison Bank, Louisville Bats, Sneck Medical Center, and of course, Temple and Temple. All right, let's have the best Thursday.
Hey.